Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors, your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. Glad you're here this morning. We got a special show lined up. You're going to just flat out enjoy today's show. But first, let's do our weather brought to us by Haney Technical Center at the corner of Baldwin and Highway 77. Run by and check out the myriad of programs they have over there. Summer school will be here before you know it, so go check them out. High today, 65, low 52. It's going to be a nice day outside. The weatherman called it he's telling me partly cloudy. I like to say partly sunny. We'll look on the bright side. So it'll be partly sunny, going to be really nice. The water temperature now is leveled off at 63 degrees. Let's take a look at our river readings brought to us by Watson's Landing Marina and Dry Storage, about 2 minutes east of Harrison Avenue, right there on Business Highway 98. Fascinating look at Apalachicola at Bluntstown. You see where it's just sort of dove down. When you see that, they're telling you one thing. In Chattahoochee, they actually closed the gates. When you see it drop that fast, those gates were closed and the river dropped really fast. It's still reading now 14.7. It's still at 15 foot. That is high. All my buddies down at Howard Creek, I know most of y'all can get to your houses now, so it's open up, but the river is dropping, but it's not it's still high. The Choctawhatchee at Caryville, this morning it's reading right at 11 foot, but it's got that slow, steady drop. So it's going to be some good fishing this weekend, all the fresh water. The catfishing is going to be excellent, okay? I'm telling you. The tide chart brought to us by, the tide chart, we talked about this yesterday. We just flat out don't have any tides the next couple of days. This is brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn Funeral Home and Cemetery. Looking on these screens there, we're going to be a neap tide Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So not much flowing in there. They're calling for rain on Friday, but Saturday still be a good day to get out on the bay. So you got a choice this weekend of the woods or the water, and it's going to be good. Marine forecast, a slight variable east southeast at about 5 to 10. All right, let's take a break and we'll be right back with our guest. Welcome back, and a special welcome to our guest, Sheriff Lavelle Pitts. Good morning.
Good morning.
Glad to have you on the show.
It's good to be here.
All right, I'm going to tell you about, most of y'all out there know Sheriff Lavelle Pitts, but I'm going to tell you what he's doing on the show. He has written a book, and I'm going to tell you briefly about the book, and then I'm going to let him do most of the talking. But the book is right here, Umbrellas Make Poor Parachutes. And it just came out, and this is not a little book. Now, it's 400 pages, and the story on it real quick. My wife was working with your daughter at Haney back in the 90s, early 2000s, and so she knew your daughter, and on Facebook she said, my dad's written a book. My wife ordered it off Amazon. I got it in 3 or 4 days ago, and I couldn't put it down. It was just fascinating. I called Lavelle and said, you got to come on the show and talk about this book. It's his story. And what an amazing story it is. So we're going to start chronologically. First of all, tell me what made you want to write a book?
Well, the thing that come to mind, I guess, was I have 11 grandchildren and 6 kids, and I wanted them to know a little bit about their past. So I thought, well, I'll just write a book for my kids, my grandkids, and had no idea of anyone else reading one. And then I let a few people proof it, and Frank McKeithen says, you got to, every deputy's going to want one. I said, yeah, they want to find out what I said about it. But it was, it started off just as that, for my kids and my grandkids.
Okay, and you jumped on it, and I think you were like me. My wife, Gail, helped me a bunch on my book, and your wife helped you a good bit too.
She was the pusher on this thing. And she's, every time I had a spare moment, something says, you need to be working on your book.
Yeah.
And without her, this would have been impossible.
I'm the same way, so I understand where you're coming from. All right, the title, Umbrella, okay, you grew up over here in Holmes County, and then you come back to Panama City. You'd be back and forth to Panama City, I saw, but on Wrights Creek, and we got a lot of viewers in Holmes County, and this is back in the mule and plow days. Tell us just briefly about growing up over there.
Well, I was born just out between Bonnefay and Bethlehem, and between Wrights Creek and 10 Mile Creek. and by a midwife from Black, Alabama delivered me. So it was pretty far back. My dad had an ox and a mule, and that's how he farmed.
Mm-hmm.
And plus he pastored a little church back out there on Wrights Creek. And that's where up until about the 9th grade, we moved up here for good, you know, but I started in the 1st grade in Millville. Mm-hmm. And then my early years, my first year was Holmes County. They had a New Smyrna school, a big room, 2-room house, mm-hmm. and you had 4 grades on each side, you know, mm-hmm. 1st through the 4th and 4th through the 8th. And that was my first experience in going to a public school.
You, I noticed you loved the outdoors. You loved to fish.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was.
I guess fishing back then was special. Sometimes you said you go out by yourself and just camp out.
Yeah, we, me and my old dog, you know, we'd go down and Wrights Creek, mm-hmm. and we'd set out set hooks. Mm-hmm. You know, and I had poles that I'd used before, and I'd hide them when I left, and catch what we call puppy dogs, little lizard-looking things out. You know, and hook them up, and I'd usually catch quite a few catfish.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you go to school Monday through Friday, and on Saturday, well, it's a working day for you too, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, I had my chores early in the morning. My dad bumped the wall. He had a built-in alarm clock, and he said, "Son, it's time to get up." Well, I'd get up if it's wintertime. I built a fire in the fireplace. That was our central heating system, and. Then Mother would get up and start putting wood in the stove, heating up some water. Then I'd had to go out to the barn and milk 1 or 2 cows, and brought milk back. By that time, Mother would have breakfast ready, and I'd fed the stock. And so after breakfast, then I'd go back and put the gear on the mule and the horse or the ox, and we'd head for the field. So. That was my early.
And you worked all day on Saturday?
Oh yeah, from at daylight we were waiting for it to get light enough to start plowing.
And your mom, you said your mom would run up at lunchtime, she'd run up a little flag or something, said time to stop and eat lunch?
Yeah, it would, she'd hang a sheet over the clothesline post and stick it up in the air, and we knew that dinner was about ready. So back then it was breakfast, dinner, and supper.
Well, that's the way I was raised too,
yeah.
So I understand exactly what you're talking about. It's fascinating. You said, and you're talking about drugs at a young age. Tell us your phrase in the book about you were drug out of bed and.
Yeah, I told someone I was hooked on drugs at an early age. My mother drugged me out of bed, drugged me in there, dug in my ears and got me dressed and drugged me into church. You know, and every time that church door were open, I better be there.
Yeah.
And so it was a good kind of drugs.
So you grew up in a situation back then, and so many things were different than it is now.
Very much so. It was things were just so well, like you say, so different. Yep. You know, there was not cars zipping back and forth. When you heard a mule and wagon coming, everybody go outside and see what was coming by, and it was. I've often said I wish my kids could have grown up on a farm like that, and where their work habits and Mother knew where all the good switches were in the yard. You know, and she told me one time, said, "Mama, why do you whip me all?" She said, "Son, it's because I love you so much." You know, but it was obvious she loved me more than she did my sister. You know.
Well, I understand that. And then your dad was. I've got to take a break quickly, but your dad first was New Smyrna Assembly. It was Assembly of God, Holiness preacher.
Yeah.
So you went to a lot of revivals and that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah. After crops laid by, Daddy would go on a tour of Florida and lower Alabama, and run revivals a week or 2 weeks. So we traveled all over the state.
And I grew up in the Quincy Assembly of God, so when we're talking about revivals, I know about those sawdust floors and those tents and all. So let's take a quick break and we'll be right back. Welcome back. We're so glad you're with us this morning. Our special guest, Sheriff Lavelle Pitt, talking about a brand new book, Umbrellas Make Poor Parachutes, his memoirs, and what a treat it is to read. I couldn't put it down. Y'all see the little marks, all these little marks right here? I started making marks on the stories I wanted to ask him about when he came on the show. I just finally quit. There are so many stories I said we can't cover all this. So some great stories in here. Now we grow up, okay. So we're grown. So we're now in Bay High School. Went there, played ball at Bay High, and then tell us what happened then.
Well, I started ninth grade. I went out in football at Bay High. I played football 4 years and graduate. Upon graduation, 4 of us, the career war was going about that time. We didn't want to be drafted, so we tried to get in the Air Force. It was a long waiting line. Navy is the same way. Coast Guard is no hope for Coast Guard. And we found the friendliest guy you ever seen. He was a Marine recruiter. And we'd recently watched John Wayne, and so we were sold on it.
Mm-hmm.
And we joined the Marine Corps and went home. I told Mom and Mother, she, bless her heart, she only had a 4th grade education, and she said, son, you shouldn't have done that, you know. And of course, I knew I was a lot smarter than my mama because she was just 4th grade, and I'd graduated, you know, but
all teenagers are smarter than parents.
yeah, first day I got to Paris Island, I determined my mama was smart. She was right. I shouldn't have done that. But that's spent my time in the Marine Corps. Got out early on a football scholarship to go to Jones Junior College, and there was 3 local boys already up there: Don York and Sammy Burkett and Cheryl Balcom, and so we roomed up there together, and my roommate was Don York. He was a star football player here at Bay High and Jones Junior College.
Well, when you were in the Marines, I noticed it was really good. You were really good at shooting. Your marksmanship was excellent, and that goes back to your dad squirrel hunting with your dad.
Right. We would. We couldn't hardly wait till hunting season started. I'd go hunting with him, and we'd go down in the creek swamp. We live right close to the creek, and that's where I learned to shoot. He taught me to shoot a .22 rifle, and so I'd never seen a .30 caliber until I got in the Marine Corps, and much less a .45 automatic. So I was in for a rude awakening. But the things he taught me fit right in with the shooting program, and I was able to make the Marine Corps rifle and pistol team. So and all that training, I would have been stuck as a sniper had I gone out.
Yeah.
So
and those drill instructors, they didn't have real good personalities, did they?
no, they were. I thought I had a mean coach a couple of times, but they didn't touch those drill instructors. But it was tough, but it was worth it. It was. I'm proud of the time I spent in the Marine Corps.
Yeah, and that's a good section of it too. So then you played a ball out there at Ellisville, Jones Junior College, and all. And then when you finish up there, you get back over here to Panama City, and then what goes on?
Well, I come in, and my dad went down and talked to Doc Daffy, and I didn't know the sheriff, and he wanted to give me a job as a jailer. Well, I didn't want to be a jailer. I wanted to be out there on a car, with a patrol car and all that.
Driving that car.
And I talked to the sheriff. He said, I'll put you on as a jailer. He said, I don't believe in putting a man on the road till he's 25 years old. He said, anybody under 25 ain't got sense enough to carry a gun. So he, even though I'd been in the Marine Corps. But
I want to mention this too. In the Marine Corps, you did a lot of pistol and rifle competition, and you were a standout. I mean, you won a lot of those contests and all, didn't you?
Yeah, I was very blessed. I was when I went out for the pistol team, I found this fella that was shooting. He was just a perfect shooter, looked like. So I'd get on the target next to him and watch everything he did, and I'd try it too. And I was hitting the rail and hitting the targets and hitting the dirt, that 45, and he come over and snatched that gun out of my hand. He said, who told you could shoot a gun? And I said, well, sir, I said, he was a lieutenant then. I said, I had to pick up brass out there on the firing line, or either you shoot a pistol, you know. If I just shoot a rifle, I have to pick up brass. And I said, he started laughing. He said, well, you know, that's how I started. He said, I'll give you a few pointers. You're going to ruin every target I got out here. Well, that guy happened to be, at that time, Lieutenant McMillan. And he later won the gold medal in the Olympics.
That's something.
So I was blessed by having a good instructor, and he was a tremendous marksman. He won every year. They'd pick the best shooter in the Marine Corps, and he won both pistol and rifle.
Wow.
And so that was.
That's how you learned.
That's how I learned to shoot a pistol.
But Doc Daffin now, he don't care about that. He just gonna put you in the jail as a jailer.
That's right.
And it doesn't impress him, did it?
He said, till you're 25, you don't have sense enough to carry a gun.
So, by that, being a jailer at that time, I guess you, from the book, you learned some good lessons and talking. I guess that's important to start like that.
It did. He had some good pointers, and I learned a lot. I learned who most of the bad guys were in the county because they were in jail a lot, and out, in and out. And we had to book them and then fingerprint them before they got out. So by the time I went on patrol, I pretty well knew who with the exception of spring break, we knew who the.
We're going to get to spring break, but we're going to take a break. But one thing that just jumped out at me: how many? Okay, this is for all of Bay County in those days, 50s, 60s, and all. And this is before the Panama City Beach Police Department. How many sheriff's cars did we have on patrol?
We had 3 cars, and we had east side, center, and the west side. 1 man on each car. There's 12-hour shifts, 7 days a week, and I think I started at $250 or $265 a month. No vacation, no days off. Doc said, if I decide to give you a day off, boy, it'll be out of the goodness of my heart. He said, and he meant it. So,
okay, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back with Lavelle Pitts. All right, welcome back. So anyway, Sheriff Lavelle Pitts on his new book right here, Umbrellas Make Poor Parachutes. He's got a story in here about what happened on that. But let's take a look at our fishing game time today. We'd like to do that every day in case some of y'all are going outdoors today. Brought to us by Mark Coward of Counts Real Estate. Our times from 3:32 to 5:32 this morning. You just missed that one. But this evening from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock, be excellent time to sit in a tree stand or go off the Bailey Bridge or fish off the pier or at your local pond. Okay, I want to, this book is going to be available at, I know you're going to be calling me, but I'm going to tell you ahead of time, it's going to be at Granny Cantrell's. They're going to, right now, I got mine off, Gail got it off Amazon, and I'm sure you can still get it off Amazon, but locally, Granny Cantrell's, and we're going to try to get them a book sign and set up. So, and on the back, real quick, Craig Connor, Craig Connor did a great review. Sheriff Frank McKeithen said, the life stories shared in this book, especially in law enforcement section, shows why I believe Lavelle Pitts is the best law enforcement officer I have ever known. Sheriff Frank McKeithen. Dr. Craig Connor at First Baptist, gripping the reader with laughter one moment and moving him to tears the next. Lavelle's story is a true inspiration for those who are honest enough to admit their own failures. This is an outstanding book. All right, now, we're working with Doc Daffin, okay? So Doc was legendary. Everybody around here knew Doc Daffin. So, and the stories, and then you had you start talking now. Go ahead. Marvin Freeman, you're a jailer. Tell us about Marvin Freeman. Tell us about the uniform, real quick. You had to go buy some pants and
yeah. Well, when he put me to work after he told me what the hours would be, but he sent me to his chief deputy, Mr. Maxwell, at that time, and I thought I was going to be sworn in all this ceremony, and he handed me a little old bitty badge. In fact, that badge stayed small until I took over sheriff, and I got the big one. But he handed me that little old badge. He said, I said, do I get a uniform? He said, yeah, they sell them. They're on Harrison Avenue at Sears and Roebuck. Said, get green pants. He said, and get you a gray shirt, and said, go right across the street to the ribbon store there on Harrison and have that get you that gray ribbon, and said, let your wife sew it on the side. And I took that stuff and I walked downstairs, and this old fella was sitting there, an older gentleman. He said, well, I hear you're a new deputy. I said, yes, sir. And he said, well, you just become a no good SOB. I said, what are you talking about? I'm a good guy. He said, no, people think that about you. And he said, I'm going to give you a tip. He said, won't cost you anything, and you can throw it away when you walk out of here, but said, remember one thing. Anytime you stop a man or you go out and you meet a man that you have done something or you think he's done something, and you get his driving license and you looking at it and you talking to him, said, just remember one thing. But for the grace of God, you could be sitting there on the steering wheel and he could be holding your license. He said, now you treat him like you'd want to be treated.
Yeah.
I never forgot that. That was in line with, of course, my dad's preaching, but coming from this man, who I later found out was Uncle Custer Russ,
Yeah.
and who was Doc Daffin's uncle. And that especially made it important because he was about the only man that could talk Doc Daffin into doing something. So then I noticed a lot of the deputies, if they messed up and got in a little bit of trouble, they run to see Uncle Custer first so he could intervene for them.
Yeah, that was a good deal. So, all right, so now you're a deputy and you're working, and you got 3 cars all over Bay County.
Yeah.
And then when spring break came, it was that had AEA back in the day.
That was terrible. They would one day it was just like a desert out there, nothing. And the next day they started pouring in, and it was awful. There was no beach police department, and we had one car working out there. If we really got bad shape, he'd move the center car over and had him help us. And a lot of times both of us were at jail with a load of prisoners, unload them, no one would be on the beach. And Highway Patrol had one trooper working the whole county. So if we got in trouble and had to have a backup, we had to call a trooper. And so it was really rough. And he finally put an extra man out there and put 2 men on the car at night to patrol the beach.
And they like to fight a lot. They like to fight all the time.
Oh boy, we had a bunch of the Birmingham kids come down, and we got in a scuffle out there, and they beat up a sailor pretty bad. He was there was a ship come in, Navy base, and the next night, those little boys went back to the Navy base, and they come out with about 150 sailors.
Oh Lordy!
And the war was on. I mean,
and the book is full of that. Listen, we're about to run out of time. We're going to do something I've never done on Panhandle Outdoors. We're going to break this off, and we're going to tape one more segment for tomorrow. So I want to get him when he's sheriff and all. So we're going to start wrapping up today, and then we're going to do one more segment for tomorrow, and we're going to finish this up. It's so good. We just didn't have enough time, but we're going to talk about him being in charge of working with the Florida Marine Patrol during the heyday of the drug smuggling, and working as a sheriff and being outstanding law enforcement. Right now, we're going to wrap it up for today. You have a great day. Do something good for your fellow man, and God bless.
Thanks for joining us for Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors features hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.